The Ottawa Senators have now missed the playoffs for 6 straight years. Their general manager, Pierre Dorion, came out and said, and I'm quoting now, "A lot of people are talking playoffs. I don't want to make bold predictions," end quote. Forget the message it sends to your fan base. Does this send the wrong message to your team when the GM goes, maybe we don't make the playoffs?
I think this is just a personal situation because of what he said last year. The rebuild is over, and I don't know how many times we ran that soundbite.
Yeah, but they went from 27 points out to 6 points out. It was a big...
We had, I don't know how many times, Gino, we talked about Pierre Dorion won the offseason. Mm-hmm. He said the rebuild's over. And all that soundbite did was come back, and it's like, okay, maybe the rebuild, it's still taking some time because they had inconsistencies and injuries. All he's doing is wading in a little bit easier this time, saying, no promises, but I guarantee you behind closed doors, he's like, I think he's a playoff team.
Here's the thing. Based on the money he's handed out to all the players that he drafted, the rebuild is over. Yeah. What he said was true. He signed them all. He's given them all long-term deals. The fact of the matter is this team has to make the playoffs. Yeah. Pierre Dorion needs to make sure this team makes the playoffs. You have a new owner in there. You've absolutely locked up everybody at this point, and you keep moving up year after year after year. I don't think it's a bold statement to say, I believe we're going to make the playoffs. No one's saying, do you think you're going to win the Stanley Cup? Yeah. Making the playoffs, 16 teams make it. There's 32 in the league. That's not a bold statement, and he won't go down that road.
Well, and also,
but that's fine. You don't have to worry about what other teams are doing. If you believe in the team you built, then say you're going to make the playoffs, because that is the expectation.
I call a bunch of games for them. I believe they're a playoff team, but we have this argument all the time. Who's coming out? Yeah. Because the Atlantic is as good as any division in the National Hockey League. So that is the biggest challenge. Maybe that's what he's looking at and saying, I'm just not going to make a huge statement here that can be a soundbite for the next 6 months.
You've worked for a number of different owners when you were in the NHL. You got new ownership here in Michael Landauer. It's a stable ownership group. There's plenty of cash there. There's no concern now moving forward. Does this have any effect on that team inside the dressing room?
I think it does, just knowing. You just mentioned the word stability, and Eugene Melnyk gave a lot of stability to the guys, but it's more about a new face, maybe a new vision, also maybe some different type of resources that he's trying to plug into the organization. So there will be a trickle-down effect when Michael Landauer takes over the organization.
I think it puts pressure on the front office and the coaching staff, though, right? The players, they have their contract. It doesn't matter who the owner is. It's guaranteed money. But the coaches don't, and the GM doesn't. So getting back to how we started this chat about the GM in question, not willing to suggest that they're going to make the playoffs, I guarantee you Michael Landauer is watching and watching closely.
And listening very closely what's being said. Maybe he's trying to give himself a little bit of a cushion. Brian Hayes, Jamie Noodles McLennan.